my name is Craig by birth. By star, it's Night Star Skywalker Mirror. That's a whole other story. But you can call me Craig, the image maker. I'm an illustrator, artist, creator, designer. I started as just a curious child one day, picked up a pencil, and I never stopped. From 5 years old, I had a friend and we were little kids, and you're sitting in that room, big ideas, and we would, draw the side profiles of people's head and shade the sides like we were barbers, and we'd erase and we'd make designs, haircuts, because that's how we want to look, right? Like, yeah. And I don't know how we put together the idea of how a head goes together, but we drew eye and the profile and the whole thing, and we were putting in parts, and we were doing the fade, like the shit, like the fade was crispy, but it allowed me to not only express myself through, drawing the pencil and whatnot, but like through my hair, like that's pretty cool. But one day, doing the same thing, which as a kid you're not always aware of what you're doing, you're just expressing yourself. I made something that someone recognized and said, "Hey, that's a face," and it was intentional. I said, I can make it do something. I had dreams that were like experiences I was having, but I could put my hand in it and start moving stuff at a young age. So like when I started that drawing, it was the same thing, but I was awake. So wherever it was coming from, thinking in my mind, I could project it. That's literally the word that came to mind at 6 years old. Like I could push it into this paper. And then I never stopped drawing. I went to school, I was the kid that was drawing, and then I went to an accelerated gifted program because I loved reading, and I never stopped reading. I always went to the library and I would just read about space, about chemicals and chemistry, and I couldn't get enough of it. And then the internet came out, and then when that ended up in school, I'm on the computer learning about that stuff because the teacher couldn't do enough in the hour. And then everybody else is distracted, so then it wasn't really ideal. And I didn't really like it being home. Not enough books. Not enough information. So I would just leave and go to school. And that channeled into my art. It gave me more things to dream about. So then when I woke up, I had more things to put into the paper. And then I went to art school. Which was like, hey, you're not that weird. There's other people that do that too. I said, oh, cool. Like what I have is not unique, or rather like I'm not sick. Like I'm not crazy. There's kids that could paint, and I knew musicians, people who played the drums. I always admired that, but my mom was like, pick one. So I looked around and I had a pencil. I said, okay, this is it. I still use a ballpoint pen. You 6, 7 years old, there's TV, comic books, movies, but I was like, that's somebody else doing what I'm doing. I was like, oh wow. And I wanted to do like computer graphics and do like special effects, so I was like followed movies, and there was a TV show they showed on Discovery Channel called Movie Magic, and they showed you how they made the movie. ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, George Lucas, and I was like, yo, I want to do that. And I like computers, and I wanted to get in this shit, and I was like, nigga, it's like painting your ideas into this shit, and then it was just like boom. But like as you're doing that and you look around you and it didn't look like that. Nothing looked like that around you. People looked at you and they were like, bro, none of that's here. So you kept going to the next room and the next room and the next room, and it was just a different drought, different season, the same drought, different season. So you seeing people looking at you like this, and that's every year of my life. And I found Dash. I went to design and architecture senior high school. My whole life changed after that. Found other people that had the same, say, yo, I got this thing I'm trying to get out of my head, bro. And they come at each other with sketchbooks like, bro, I don't know how to help. Like, help. And, big companies just showed up. People got whisked off to, car companies and Nike and names you might recognize, like Cadillac and Mercedes, and movies like Transformers and stuff. We got graduates there, so like, that changed my life. And it was like, you're just a very select type of, like, really rare type of pop, and then there's rarer people that of you we're trying to find. That took me in a whole different path, and I went to Detroit. I went to design and architecture senior high school for high school, and then I got into automotive design. So they started the automotive design program in my high school when I was a junior. That was the first of it. Like the seniors before were like a prototype, and then they're like, okay, we got a curriculum. So we designed exclusively cars in high school, and then we got picked up in an accelerator program in the summer of 2006 called it was an accelerator program. The reason I'm giving you this context is because high school, design architecture senior high school, fed us into the college I ended up going to, and the broader spectrum. College for Creative Studies in Detroit, Michigan. It's, I don't want to say rival, but it's contemporary in Pasadena, California. Art Center College. You look this stuff up. All the graduates designed some of your favorite movies. My mentor, Sid Mead, rest his soul, did Blade Runner, Aliens. Johnny Five, Short Circuit, that's his design. He did that at 55 years old. Gundam, for Bandai, he did that at 60. Yeah, I met him twice, and he signed my book, My Lifelong Hero. So, look at the life of that man. His ideas became things, and I knew that's what I was. And I'm still chasing that. Wherever it is. I mean, things are looking stranger around me, but I know that light, me and the light, the same thing. That I wake up every day, and then, like, I get restless at work because it doesn't turn off. That's why I said I gotta get out of here. I'm not gonna eat. I'm not gonna drink. I got bills that people on the outside want paid. Like, it's not me. It's like, I'm not bound by the material world. It's a byproduct of me existing. Material stuff. I make sketches. So, life of the artist, I don't know what it's like for other people. I only can tell you what it's like here going on. And all the great people I've seen suffering from the same thing in history. Like, damn, like he made that. Like, that person made that. Oof, and then other people to talk about it. And then it means something to other people, which, I mean, I don't control that. I don't own that at all. That's why social media is really hard for me, because I feel like you're preluding it. You're giving some. I think they're in that state where they're trying to give you something to think about. I don't do that. Here's the idea. Take of it what you will. And if I have a story to tell, I want to tell a story. But shit, people look into the art and they see an old man's face in the clouds, or a unicorn, or Bodhisattva. You are the light, and some cannot see. You are a way to that light. You must go to the light. It is your light. So he said to me, that thing you're describing, he knows me very well, my friend Kenneth. And he would point to it and he said, it's that you must go to. Other people might not see it, Craig. And I see you, this is 10 years ago, we had this conversation years ago. I see you turning around and trying to get people to go there. It's not their light. He tells it to me like I would understand it. And I still have to live with peace with that. Life in general, I mean, the way I see it, and again, I'm not bound by the material world. Like, I have to eat. My body will suffer. My mind doesn't, but my body will suffer, and then my body will make my mind suffer. I can only speak the language. I can be more or less sure you and I will be on the same page with. I can speak my language, but I can't assure that you will understand. I'm doing the best I can to translate. And the sketchbook is, like I said, this is the little nugget. Oh, finally. This is what they can have. Okay. Then comes the line drawings, the colors, the voiceovers, the animatics, the movie, the board game, the hollow cube you can download onto your device and take on with you playing and finish the game your way. Bro, I'm on some shit I cannot explain to you, but I'm telling you, I'm like, dude, the NFT shit that we were doing, woo, that shit would have been super cool, super cool. Like, imagine a game that doesn't have to end, and it always, every day, it's a new level. It always changes, and it gives you gifts that you can use in the real world. That's what art is to me. Gives me. I don't want to say knowledge or wisdom, because it's like, what do they use? Sanskrit. It's written in the way of the universe, in the atoms and shit. It's that. We're looking at right now vibrations, matter, vibrations, and in which the field of which they're vibrating assigns their mass, the stuff that's in it, not the weight, the stuff that's in them, and the color is the harmonic of that vibration, right? Against light that's just bouncing off of it, light and everything else. So those thoughts that create the art, when I see them, I hold them and give you the sketch, shit, that was violent. Yeah, it is really violent. Like, I gotta span it out over days because I gotta eat, I gotta sleep, and I'd be with it for hours and days, and then it's pages, and then I'm like, I gotta go. So, I try to write a lot of my stuff too, which is came with the book. I'm 25,000 words in with this one first chapter of the side A. Bruh, I would show it to you and you just like, I don't understand, and I'm like, me neither. That's why I'm trying to build it. So I'm building some shit that will, lack of a better state, be like metaphysical, and give you the parts through my art. That's also what my art informs, and I hope artists out there are doing that and not just making pretty things for people to see. If you want pretty things to see, go out in the park, look at the trees, look at the birds. Bruh, scientists look at the sky every day, and we still don't understand what the hell we're looking at. Like, yo, look at that star, and they're zooming in at it, and they can tell you all the frequencies. Yo, what the are we looking at? Einstein predicted gravitational waves 100 years before we could prove it. That spooky action at a distance, my man saw in numbers. In numbers, in analog. He was like, I can measure this. Yo, guys, look, if something has mass, it's bending all this stuff, but it's not just bending it, but then the light, I can see it coming around because the way light works. And this is a measurement. Science is objective. So it's based itself on, well, what we're looking at we can measure, and if I measure it, it exists. It's causality. There it is. So then I can share that with you, and we can measure on the same basis. So if I wanted to measure the diameter of Mars and it's there, be it that we did our calculations correctly, will arrive at the same thing. So art is a way to determine that between languages. So very influential book I read back in middle school, because I don't think it was high school. I think I had that book, lost it, want to buy it again. Ray Bradbury's The Martian Chronicles, and it chronicles course of time, trips to Mars, and I think it was written in the 60s. So the timeline was set like 2001, 2004, and the first few missions were a failure because when they sent people there, they didn't know what happened. They died and disappeared on the moon. They seen Mars as a truly alien world. And as the stories from different perspectives happen to involve Mars, and you also see the Martians that live there and life from there. So you see these stories told from different perspectives, different times, converging into this book, into the sequential order of this book. This book really was like amazingly influential on me because it was a great way to tell a story, but also it spoke of a hypothetical. It's fiction, science fiction, of course. of a society that lived on Mars that saw science, art, and religion in the same thing. Which, try to picture that for a second. Try to imagine that for a second. What that even enumerates to, right? Like what does humans make of that? Well, they can't, because there's too much going on. But this society was so sophisticated, advanced, that it was all the same thing. And it came out in their architecture, the way they talked, the way they looked. They were tall, slender, they were like 8 feet tall, copper skin, gold eyes. Yeah, man. Bronze hair, like the hair was like bronze, like metal, like what? And you're sitting there thinking like, dang, like how does something like this exist? Only in the minds of a person who could dream it. And here was a civilization literally dreaming up their reality, because like their houses sighed and like glass like melted into each other, and like they would have daydreams that would spool out like smoke and create things in front of them. While humans showed up being brutish, they would kill humans with their minds, because they didn't know, humans had to talk, they couldn't think, so they would just infiltrate their mind, thinking they were telepathy, kill them. Like stuff like that I had at a young age, and then seeing the world, which was stranger than fiction, my guy. An artist traipsed this line to show people. Okay, one of the most impactful I guess learning moments I've had since that book, middle school to now, through high school I had art history. It all began in a cave in Lascaux, France. A shaman needed to tell people where the food was. So he would go out in the plains where he knew where the food was. People were afraid to venture beyond the bushes, venture beyond the what they knew. He wasn't afraid. He believed that there was something else beyond. So we go out there, he finds berries. Is it safe to eat? He's like, I don't know. He starts wilding out, sees, comes back, tells him, hey, eat these. You'll maybe see what I saw. And you'll keep doing so. All the while asserting that this is safe to eat. So we taught people how to eat, what to ingest, what to make of the world, right? He also observed the herds, right? What they would just chase, he would observe, and they would learn to follow. So much so that they didn't even have to chase him no more, because they learned how to set up shop and create a symbiosis that they didn't have to chase them. But to get to that point, they had to imagine. And he helped them do so by being the bridge between two worlds. What we can see, what we know, and the unknown. So the shaman take these berries or see these things, then he'd take them to the place where it's like his laboratory, where you can think, fucking, whoo, come on down and document it, right, in the cave. And while he was tripping, and he was expressing himself all over the place, and then he'd show them, these are the herds, these are the places, and he showed them places they never knew existed. Mountains, rivers, valleys, right, deer, prancing. And then the shaman was seeing other people too, and he was talking to them like, what are these? These are other people, they look just like us. And he was putting in, he was, look, there's a mommy and a dad. And look, there's little tiny ones, just like the animals. Look, they're out there too. You mean like us? Yeah, like us. Just like us. So then they ventured, and they met other people, and they saw those things. And then there was still more out there, and they kept dreaming. So the shaman, being the first artist, also the first doctor, medicine man. And then he helped the waking man, who was a victim of his physical material world, understand the astral, the beyond. And he realized he was but a small, tiny compartment in a really, 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 really big room. That's fact, because they tell it to us every single day looking out of a telescope. Yo, this thing is moving, bro. Like, they're literally screaming and shouting that, yo, this shit is moving. It's moving so far away that it's all gonna die. It's gonna be a heat death, and everything's gonna be black holes, infinitely cold, because we can see where it's going. If light is the only constant, it's gonna do that. Again, the eye. The artist was a way, a means to that, and a true artist is trying to help you see the unseen. Some are really political, right? Like they'll take the current events and flip it, make you think. Mind's eye. Some will make you laugh. Some will make things that'll, entertain you. A lot of it blends in entertainment, but again, like they make you see things. A lot of things that you don't readily see, right? So I learned that role, but I'm again a very rare person, very, very rare person. I was very fortunate to have the experiences that I have, and I am very well aware of it. That's why I wake up gratitude every day. Very, very rare. I'm even alive right now. A lot of people like me rose and fell in the shadows of empires spanning back forever ago. We have evidence of it. Dust. Wise men that preached in a corner. Words didn't go very far, but something remained, right? And you wonder how they figured this shit out. They didn't have the wheel, right? And it's all there in the desert sands, And I'm an avid student of history. A lot of it I read and I hear from professors. I don't just read it like fictionally. A lot of the stuff I watch on this one is not music, is documentaries, but from professors. And one channel that I watch, Told in Stone. God, do I wish to go to Rome one day, because most of that stuff's still standing. You can see what I'm talking about. And even then, they were looking to Greek, right? They were seeing people figured this shit out, and they had to dream to see this. Supposed primitive people. They had to see. They had to think of that to even know where to find it and be right. To be right on the money. Aristophanes could tell you the circumference of the earth with 2 sticks in 430 AD. He said, hey, 838 AD. Guy he hired to run the serene on the longest day of the year. They said, hey, this, because they have to do festivals across townships and whatnot. So he paid a runner to run the distance to go there and measured the stick. Because light casting a shadow, moves in straight lines. Greek saw the natural world as perfect, and it made perfect Euclidean shapes. Circles, squares, triangles, projected, pyramids, cubes, spheres, right? These are perfect because they could measure it with the natural world, sticks and stuff, and it made these shapes, bro. Snowflakes, atoms. They could see this shit, so they weren't pretending. They weren't under. They were trying to find a way to explain it. It kept going into realms of fantasy, like God, because this shit was already there, and they had to think to get to that thing. They're like, but it's already here. So like, wow, this is so sophisticated. Who designed this? And it just kept going. So artists have been a way of man trying to make sense of that. We have philosophers, we have writers, we have dancers. They're trying to figure this shit out. You understand music, right? Vibrations, yeah? And how waves travel through mediums, where it's like wood, water, right? So think of what we're on right now. Think of what we're on right now. Sloshing rock with a metal core, tuning fork in a pool. Ding! Vibrations. Where are these vibrations going? Where are they going? Through the planet, through us, from the sun, right? Other things whizzing in the air, creating reverberations. Can you hear it? No, maybe you don't notice it, but it's everything you're doing from the moment you get up in the morning. You just start doing stuff. What's making you do that? Is it the sun? Is it what the sun's doing? Is it what the sun is a part of? all this stuff is vibrating. Is it speaking to you? Is music speaking to you? What's music making you feel when you listen to it? Right? Is what you're seeing, reading information? Or is it what you're hearing? Or is it all information? Right? And if it's information, are you learning? What are you doing with that information? So people getting up in the morning, seeing the sun, like, all that's information, right? So like everything we're doing is probably a byproduct of that. Your brain is an organic processor. I can't tell you how that works. People study it, study brains 24/7, and can't tell them apart. They know that people just don't use it and are afraid to take it out the wrapper. That they can tell you for certain. But the potential in all human beings is limited only by themselves, right? I can't tell you where that stuff comes from, because people decide to do with it what they wish. You know, technology is fire. It's determinism over nature. It's I'm going to make this happen. Technology is language, and I'm not giving any Gen AI artists any credit there, because these sources exist, so they had to be sourced. Now, when my eyes opened as a child, what I saw from then has been my memories. And I could explain it to you all day, but I can't bring you there. I can't show it to you. But they exist. And its effects exist. It's history, truth in accordance to fact, material, right? How I made of it, comes out as a sketch. Where'd that come from? A thought, a photon of light. Where did that come from? It exists, but its origin is kind of like non-point. It's where you measured it, right? I wake up in the day and I have thoughts. Like I forge them from all their pieces at the end of the day, and I have ideas, put them together. It's hard for a layman who can't do that, so I can't explain it for them. But as an artist, for other artists, they translate it in their art. And then there are all the other things we experience.